You have crystals in your brain, not metaphorical ones, actual mineral crystals made of magnetite, one of Earth's most magnetic materials. Scientists have found them concentrated in your pineal gland, the same tiny organ that ancient cultures mysteriously called the third eye. Could these microscopic crystals be why modern neuroscience is finally catching up to age-old questions about consciousness and intuition? What if the bridge between science and spirituality has been inside your head this entire time? Magnetite is nature's most sophisticated navigation system. It's the secret behind one of the most incredible phenomena in the natural world. Every year, millions of birds migrate thousands of miles across continents, navigating with precision that would make our GPS systems jealous. Sea turtles, born on beaches they've never seen, somehow find their way back to the exact same shore decades later. Bees leave their hives, travel miles in search of nectar, and return home without ever getting lost. How do they do it? The answer lies in magnetite, tiny crystals so sensitive they can detect Earth's magnetic field like a biological compass that never needs calibration. This isn't just impressive, it's revolutionary. These crystals are literally microscopic magnets, perfectly aligned to sense the planet's electromagnetic field. They're nature's original GPS technology, developed over millions of years of evolution. And here's what neuroscientists discovered that changed everything. Humans have magnetite too. Research published in peer-reviewed journals shows these same crystals appear throughout our brains. They're particularly concentrated in the pineal gland, but they also show up in the hippocampus, the region responsible for memory and spatial awareness, and in other areas that control how we perceive and navigate our world. But here's the question that's dividing the scientific community. If other animals use magnetite for navigation and environmental sensing, what exactly might it be doing in human brains? Are we walking around with dormant superpowers we don't even know about? Let's talk about the pineal gland itself. This organ is smaller than a pea, about the size of a grain of rice, yet it's captured human imagination for thousands of years. Modern science has taught us some fascinating facts about this tiny structure. We know for certain that it produces melatonin, the hormone that regulates our sleep cycles. We know it responds to light, acting like an internal clock that keeps our circadian rhythms in sync with the natural world. We know it changes throughout our lifetime, calcifying as we age in ways that researchers are still trying to understand. But what scientists are still investigating is far more intriguing. How do the magnetite crystals found inside this gland actually function? Some researchers theorize these crystals could act like biological antennae, potentially sensitive to electromagnetic fields that surround us every day. Think about that for a moment. You might literally have antennae in your brain, tuning into frequencies and fields that your conscious mind doesn't even register. Now here's where the story gets really interesting, where modern science collides with ancient history in ways that seem almost impossible to explain. Long before we had brain scanning technology, before we understood neurotransmitters or electromagnetic fields, cultures across the entire world focused on this exact same spot in the human head. We're talking about civilizations that had no contact with each other, separated by oceans and thousands of years, yet they all seemed to know something special was happening right where we now know the pineal gland sits. The ancient Egyptians depicted it as the Eye of Horus, placing it at the center of their most sacred symbols. Hindu traditions mapped it as the Ajna chakra, calling it the third eye of intuition and higher perception. Buddhist monks described it as the seat of enlightenment. Even René Descartes, the father of modern philosophy, called it the seat of the soul, the one place where the immaterial mind connects with the physical body. Is this just coincidence? Or were these ancient observers, through centuries of meditation and introspection, somehow picking up on something that science is only now beginning to measure and understand? How did they know to focus on this tiny gland, buried deep in the center of the brain, invisible to the naked eye? Here's where it gets absolutely fascinating for researchers studying consciousness and human potential. When people experience what they call gut feelings, those moments when you just know something without logical reasoning, your brain shows very specific, measurable changes. Neuroscientists can actually see this happening in real-time brain scans. When someone has a moment of sudden clarity during meditation, when they report feeling deeply connected to something larger than themselves, when they describe experiences that seem to transcend ordinary awareness, we can observe distinct patterns of neural activity. Some cutting-edge theories suggest that magnetite crystals might help explain these phenomena in ways we never considered before. Could these crystals be sensitive to Earth's natural electromagnetic rhythms, like the Schumann resonance, the planet's own heartbeat that pulses at approximately 7.83 Hz? Could they be detecting subtle changes in the electromagnetic environment that your conscious mind processes as intuition or insight? Now, important note here, this is still frontier science. We're not making medical claims or suggesting you can develop supernatural abilities. What we're exploring is how researchers are beginning to bridge the gap between subjective human experience and objective biological mechanisms. The most intriguing part isn't that we have all the answers. It's that we're finally asking the right questions about the connection between biology and consciousness, between the physical brain and subjective experience. What's truly remarkable is how modern neuroscience is validating thousands of years of ancient observations. But now we have tools those cultures could never have imagined. Brain imaging technology shows us that meditation genuinely does alter pineal gland activity in measurable ways. We can track how light exposure affects its chemistry, how different times of day change its function. We're beginning to understand how various states of consciousness, from deep sleep to heightened awareness, correspond to different patterns of brain activity. Ancient cultures didn't have fMRI machines or electron microscopes or electromagnetic field detectors. But they had something else that might have been just as valuable: thousands of years of careful, systematic observation of human consciousness. Generation after generation of monks, mystics, and philosophers dedicating their lives to understanding the nature of awareness itself. They called it the third eye, the inner eye, the eye of wisdom. Today's scientists study it as the pineal gland embedded with magnetite crystals. Different vocabulary, different tools, but remarkably similar questions. How does the physical brain create subjective experience? How does consciousness emerge from matter? What's the relationship between mind and body? So what does all of this actually mean for you in your daily life? It suggests that human consciousness might be far more complex and interconnected than we previously understood. Your brain might be equipped with biological structures that are incredibly sensitive to subtle environmental factors that most people never even think about. You might be processing information in ways that go beyond the 5 traditional senses, picking up on electromagnetic patterns, environmental rhythms, and subtle energy fluctuations that influence your thoughts and feelings without you even realizing it. This doesn't prove or disprove anything spiritual or mystical, but it does suggest that the boundary between what we call mystical and what we call biological might be much more blurred than our current scientific paradigm acknowledges. Maybe intuition isn't just imagination or wishful thinking. Maybe those gut feelings and moments of sudden knowing have a real, measurable basis in your neurobiology. And here's perhaps the most important point. You don't need to understand magnetite crystals or electromagnetic fields or pineal gland chemistry to benefit from practices like meditation, mindfulness, or simply paying closer attention to your intuitive responses. People have been accessing these states of awareness for millennia, long before anyone knew about neurotransmitters or brain scans. Science is just beginning to catch up to what human beings have been experiencing and exploring for thousands of years. Your brain contains crystals that connect you to Earth's magnetic field. Whether that connection is purely biological, serving some evolutionary function we don't yet understand, or whether it opens doorways to something more profound, well, that's still being discovered. What we know for sure is this: the more we study consciousness, the more fascinating and mysterious it becomes. Every answer leads to 10 new questions. Every discovery reveals how much we still don't know. Let me know in the comments. Do you think science will ever fully explain intuition, or is it meant to remain a mystery? If you found this exploration as intriguing, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell icon, because we dive deep into neuroscience, psychology, the mysteries of human consciousness, and more every single week here on Wise and Grind.